On a quiet morning in the small town of Maple Creek, life seemed completely normal. The streets were calm, the houses were silent, and residents were beginning another ordinary day. But before the sun had fully risen, something happened that would leave an entire community searching for answers. At first, nothing seemed unusual. A family member failed to answer phone calls. Messages went unread. Hours passed, and concerns slowly began to grow. Friends and relatives assumed there was a simple explanation. But as the day continued, it became clear that something was wrong. A missing person report was filed, and local authorities immediately began looking into the situation. Detectives started gathering information, speaking with neighbors, and piecing together a timeline of events. Every detail mattered, no matter how small. Search teams were organized and deployed throughout the surrounding area. Volunteers joined law enforcement officers, determined to help. They searched wooded trails, open fields, abandoned buildings, and remote roads. Helicopters scanned the landscape from above while investigators worked tirelessly on the ground. As the search expanded, detectives began interviewing witnesses. Some reported seeing unusual activity during the previous evening. Others remembered hearing strange noises or noticing unfamiliar vehicles in the area. Each statement was carefully documented and analyzed. Investigators reviewed hours of surveillance footage from nearby businesses and homes. Camera after camera was examined. Every passing vehicle, every pedestrian, and every movement was studied. The hope was that somewhere within those recordings, a critical clue was waiting to be discovered. Days turned into weeks. The mystery continued to deepen. Detectives assembled evidence boards filled with photographs, maps, timelines, and witness statements. Patterns began to emerge, but no single piece of information provided a clear answer. Then came the first major breakthrough. During a search in a remote area, investigators discovered evidence that immediately attracted the attention of forensic experts. The location was secured, documented, and carefully examined. Every inch of the scene was photographed and analyzed. The evidence was transported to a forensic laboratory where specialists conducted extensive testing. Fingerprints, fibers, and other trace materials were examined using advanced techniques. Detectives hoped the results would finally point them in the right direction. Meanwhile, public interest in the case continued to grow. Local newspapers published updates. Television stations covered every development. Social media users shared theories and speculation. The mystery of Maple Creek had captured national attention. As investigators dug deeper, several persons of interest emerged. Detectives carefully reviewed their backgrounds, timelines, and connections to the case. Interviews became more detailed. Questions became more focused. Some leads appeared promising but eventually reached dead ends. Others raised new questions that required additional investigation. Every answer seemed to create another mystery. Search warrants were executed. Additional evidence was collected. Investigators worked late into the night, reviewing documents and comparing witness accounts. The pressure to solve the case continued to increase. Months passed. Despite countless hours of work and an enormous amount of resources, the mystery remained unsolved. Still, investigators refused to give up. New forensic techniques were used to re-examine old evidence. Previously overlooked details were reviewed. Detectives revisited witness statements and followed new leads whenever they appeared. Eventually, the investigation reached a critical stage. Legal proceedings began, and the public watched closely as evidence was presented and examined. Reporters gathered outside the courthouse, hoping to capture every important development. Inside, witnesses testified about what they saw and what they remembered. Experts explained forensic findings. Detectives described the challenges they faced throughout the investigation. For the families involved, the proceedings represented more than just another step in the case. They represented years of uncertainty, hope, and unanswered questions. When the hearings concluded, some mysteries had been explained. Others remained unresolved. Even today, questions continue to surround the case. What really happened that morning? Was there a clue investigators missed? Does someone still know the truth? As the years pass, the people of Maple Creek continue to remember the events that changed their town forever. Detectives remain hopeful that one day new evidence will emerge and finally provide the answers everyone has been searching for. Until then, the mystery remains. A reminder that sometimes the truth can stay hidden for years, waiting for the moment when it finally comes to light. And somewhere, perhaps, the final piece of the puzzle is still waiting to be found.